Took the jury 19 hours to deliberate this very unusual trial, and emotional Peterson reacting outside the courtroom.
Got my life back.
We got our life
We've
back.
got our life back after 4.5 years.
5.5.
Because of Mark.
Yep.
And being able to put the truth out of what happened. It's been an emotional roller coaster for so long. Everybody did the best they could. We did the best we could with the information we had.
He's referring to Mark Eiglarsh, his lawyer, who's standing next to him there. Both of them will be joining us live in a moment. Veteran homicide detective John Curcio, who took the stand against Peterson, breaking down during his testimony when a prosecutor asked him what Peterson should have been doing.
The goal is to stop him from killing people. Excuse me. And that doesn't mean killing him. It means slowing him down. It means distracting him. It means anything so those kids can find safety.
Peterson's defense argued he wasn't sure if the gunfire he heard was coming from inside and that he had no legal obligation to enter the building and confront the killer under Florida law. The case marked the almost unheard of criminal trial of a law enforcement officer charged for failing to do enough here to a mass shooting. It was also unusual because prosecutors brought the child neglect charges under a Florida statute that governs caregivers, arguing Peterson, as a school resource officer, had a duty to protect the students. Tony Montalto, a parent of one of the victims, spoke out after the verdict.
As you can hear, the fine, good sportsmanship of Deputy Peterson and the lawyer's family as they cheer this victory. For our families, we still feel he should be haunted every day by his failure to act. I know that he contributed, I should say, to the deaths of my daughter Gina, her schoolmates, and their teachers.
Joining us now is Scot Peterson and his attorney, Mark Eiglarsh. Thanks to both of you for coming on the program. Appreciate it. Let me start with you, Mr. Peterson. I do want to give you a chance to respond since I just played a piece of sound there from one of the parents. What is your response to the parents who are still very angry about everything that happened?
My heart goes out to them.
And what about their fury about what they feel like you should have done, you could have done, etc.?
If they've listened to the trial, I think they would clearly know what my actions were on that scene, and that's just what I believe. I just hope they sat and listened to what the facts were, and I think they would have an idea what actually occurred.
Mark Eiglarsh, let me ask you a legal question. You chose not to have your client testify. You and I talked about this before you made that decision. Obviously, it turns out that was legally the right decision, but why did you choose not to have him testify?
Well, I've been trying cases for 30 years. I rarely have my clients testify, especially when, as was the case here, the state rested their case and they didn't prove their case. Why should my client ever have to prove anything? That's number one. Number two, they never even called the lead investigator in this case. They kept him away. They hid him so I couldn't destroy him in front of the jury for the shoddy political investigation that he did. And third, the prosecutor tried to destroy some of our defense witnesses, some of the officers who were on that scene, who did everything they could honorably and zealously. I would never subject my client to that. So it was the right decision. It was the only decision. And obviously the jurors didn't need to hear from him because he had given a statement to them 2 days after the incident anyway. He said everything he needed to say.
Yeah, and Mr. Peterson, to that, in big picture, if you could do things differently, looking back on it, would you do things differently than you did?
I wouldn't have done anything different because my actions were based on what my initial stimuli was hearing the 2 shots outside, and I moved to cover, not knowing where those shots were.
Yeah, Dan, anyone who saw this trial knows that the information that he had was so limited. 20-something witnesses heard the same shots he did, and it all sounded like it was coming from outside. None of those witnesses thought that the shots were coming from inside the 1200 building. But when the sheriff of Broward County threw him under the bus for his own political gain by suggesting that my client erroneously knew where the shots were coming from, chose not to go in, cowered in the corner, believed that kids were being slaughtered, and chose to be the coward of Broward, that set in motion what ultimately led to these bogus, meritless criminal charges. And that sheriff should answer to you for that.
Well, let me ask you, Mark, and I'll ask you a similar question to one that I asked Scott. Then why are the family members who did watch the trial, you said anyone who watched the trial, these family members watched the trial, and they're furious about the outcome. Why?
Right. I think that that's a question for a psychologist or someone who knows the mindset of those who, in spite of seeing facts that prove what the jurors saw, what they all found. 6 jurors spent 16 hours analyzing the evidence and found not guilty on every single count.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.